Hi, this is Alan Greenblatt of Adobe, and today we're going to talk about the CSS Filter Lab. The Filter Lab's a very cool little tool for experimenting and developing and collaborating with others on CSS filters and custom shaders. So what we're going to do here is we're going to actually install the Filter Lab on our local system and show you how it works. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to head over to GitHub, and you'll see on GitHub there's an Adobe area, and under that the CSS Filter Lab. And actually the README here explains a lot of what I'm going to talk about. But what we're going to do first is we're going to clone this to my Mac, and I'm going to put it in my demo directory. And that's going to bring down all the code. And we're just going to head over to that directory and head right in there. Now the Filter Lab makes use of some submodules, so first thing we're going to do is make sure those are all up to date. And then, while the Filter Lab can run directly against files, it makes use of the HTML5 local storage, which works much better if we run this as a server. So I'm going to use the built-in Python HTTP server. Which just starts up a server on port 8000 in that directory. Now we're going to go over here. Now, one thing to note is if you're going to run the Filter Lab and you want to see the custom shaders, you need to either use WebKit Nightly's or the Google Canary Chrome version of Chrome. So I am actually using Canary here, but we're going to turn on the shaders because by default they're not enabled. So we'll go to here, we'll look for shaders, you see enable CSS shaders, and then we'll just relaunch the browser. Fantastic. And we'll go to port 8000, and here's the Filter Lab. And you can see we have these images and some text, and this is just HTML markup, and we see the actual CSS here. Right now there's no filters applied, and this is where the different filters that are applied will be listed and configured. So what we can do here is we can add some basic built-in shaders. There's lots of different kinds of shaders here, blur, brightness, contrast, what have you, and we can just add them, animate the properties. You can see how we change the blur amount, and you see how the markup at the bottom changes to reflect that. And we can do things like add a hue rotation, start at 0, and we can do a little animation. We could say at time 0, I want it to be at 0, and then at time 4, I want it to be at 360, and then we'll play that, and over the course of 4 seconds we're going to run through the full color wheel. And that's great, and we can add a drop shadow on that, and sure, at 4 seconds it's going to be a blue, and let's just keep it a blue drop shadow. Whoops, we don't want that, we just want that. And we'll take the blue drop shadow and play that. And so you see the image rotates through the color wheel, but the blue drop shadow still stays there. And and we can play with the drop shadows, offset, and all kinds of fun stuff. And we could take this, and we could say, I want to save that as we'll call that drop hue. And it's a preset. Okay? And we can go back to the default. And for the default, we can delete these. And then you go, oh, wait a minute, I want that drop hue again. We just pick it, and there they are again. So that's the save preset. But let's get rid of those, and let's take a look at some of the custom filters. Now, custom filters can let you do some very interesting things. They allow you to basically manipulate all the rendered content in 3 dimensions, and not just spin it around or scale it, but actually overlay a mesh and then move those mesh points in 3 dimensions. And as well, you can alter every single pixel's color. So you can do some interesting things, like, for instance, this burn effect. And we can animate that burn effect. So we can start with 0 and then apply the burn. Okay, so if we go here, time 0, we'll give it an amount of 0, and then at 4 seconds I want it full burn. And we can play that and get a nice little burn effect. Let's speed that up just a little bit. Give it 3 seconds. There we go. And we can add another one on top of that. Let's do a dissolve. Say at time, after 3 seconds, I want it to be a full dissolve. And start. Actually, we can just select that. There we go. So time 0, no dissolve, and let's play that. Great, we get a dissolve and a burn, and that's very nice. But let's say we want to customize that dissolve even more. Let's take that off, and let's go here, and we see how we have this little fork filter. So let's take the dissolve filter, and here we can see how the filter is applied. It's multiplied. This is the resolution of the mesh and its name, and some different parameters you can pass in. And let's go into the fragment shader, which allows you to set the color. And let's go to the bottom. The fragment shaders are called for every pixel, and you can set specifically the color, or a color to mix in, or a matrix, a color matrix, and this is using the matrix, but I'm going to change the mix color. And notice as I'm typing, there's some errors showing up. And so it's doing real-time error handling. I don't believe there's any other shader editor out there for WebGL or any other kind of shaders out there that will do real-time error handling like this. I could be wrong, but I don't believe there is. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set the mix color. Well, if it's visible, so before it was just applying an identity matrix or zeroing everything out and making it all disappear if it was invisible. But now I'm going to say, well, if it's visible, the color that we're going to mix with is just white, and otherwise let's make it red. And comment that out. All right. So at time, after 3 seconds, I want the full dissolve, and at time 0, make it 0. Great. And let's do that. And look at that. That's a nice little effect. I like that. And I'm going to call that melt. I don't know. Nice little melt effect. And if I want someone else to use my melt effect, I can just publish it. So I'm going to publish my melt. I'm going to publish a gist, not a gist. And there it is. So just put it on GitHub, and anybody can use this. I can send someone the URL to that, and they can import it into their FilterLab. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at my gists that I've created before. Here's a bunch of them. Here's a nice one that I took called Monjori, and I found this some WebGL shaders in this tool called Shader Toy, and someone had developed a filter called Monjori, and I adapted it for this. But let's, for a CSS custom filter, and let's take that URL. We'll go here, and let's get rid of these guys, and let's import this guy. All right, and there's Monjori. And Monjori, we can do the same thing. can say at time 0, it's 0, and at time after 3 seconds, let's do that, and let's play that. Fantastic. And so you can see here in my animation syntax, I can take this and I could just copy paste that CSS into my CSS file, and there I go. And I could use that with Edge Animate or what have you, anything. And there you have it. So there's the FilterLab. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend. Try it out, and hopefully we'll see some nice, beautiful things that people are creating. All right. Thank you very much.